My name is Saad and this is my brother Omar. We are members of the Cliff Core Rover Crew. We are refugees from Syria and we've been here in Australia for the past year. You'll have to be patient with us. Our English is not very good, but we're hoping your English is not very good either, so we can understand each other. Syria is a devastated country. Over 1 million people have been killed, detained, or are currently missing. We are among the oldest civilizations in the world. Damascus, our capital, is the oldest continuously inhabited city in history. Aleppo, the largest city, has been named the most dangerous city in the world. Palmyra has been subjected to the cruelty of ISIS. Our city, Homs, is now a pile of rubble. The past 5 years of civil war have left my country on its knees, yet we still have a hope.
Our personal story begins in a local Syrian scout hall. It was our second home. We spent every waking moment there with friends, playing soccer, table tennis, studying, and caring for the group's dog. Her name was Rosa. She was husky. She was smart, loyal, and affectionate. But she was killed by a government sniper just outside the scout hall. Scouting was our second family. We went on camps throughout Syria. We hiked and discovered the hidden gems of our country. When we went, learning how to lead, how to be good citizens. For us, scouting was everything. But this life was not to last forever. In early 2011, a peaceful uprising for freedom and democracy broke out in Homs. And I was on the streets among the protesters. I marched, made banners, and demonstrated in support of a message of freedom. But the government's reaction was brutal. A few days before my year 12 exams, I was shot. But I was lucky. I watched my neighbors dying one by one. My friends, my family, all in the hope of a free and democratic Syria. As scouts, we continued to serve. Our city under siege, we acted as the distributors of the international aid, doing what we could for our community. We collected food for the displaced people living in the schools. We did everything we could until the Scouts Hall became a target. It had been dangerous to save the people before, but now it had become deadly. At this time, Mu'taman, our cub leader, a man who devoted all his energy to scouting, a man whose life was lived by the scout law, was arrested, imprisoned, and tortured to death. He was trying to show the Syrian police that the scout hall only had food inside, but still, he was not spared. His story is sad. He was a good man, but he's just one of uncountable number of people who have suffered the same fate in my country. Our lives were hard. We never knew which moment would be our last. My father would come into our rooms each morning, looking at us and wonder who would go out that day and not come home. I still attended university, determined to not let my education be affected. Going to school one day, I was arrested along with my friends by the Azerbaijan. We were taken to jail. We were tortured. I never knew that humans could deal with such intense pain and suffering. I had to stand there and listen to my friend being beaten to death. I have never felt so weak, hopeless, and broken. But for some reason, by some miracle, I was eventually released. Of my friends arrested with me, one was released, one died, and 2 are still missing. Sick, emotionally destroyed and exhausted, I returned to my family and then we left for Lebanon. Our trip to Beirut was long and scary. We were almost caught more times than I can count. We then traveled to Egypt. When we landed, my scout leader called me and thanked God we had arrived safe. He charged me with a simple request that I would never forget. He told me to study hard, to do my best in everything I do, to do good everywhere I go, and to one day return home so we could meet all together in the scout hall again. Unfortunately, I cannot keep my promise. He was killed by a bomb a few months later. This made me more determined than ever that I would join scouting again, for the honor of my leader and the suffering of all Syrian scouts. After a year in Egypt, we were granted our Australian refugees visas. I was at university that time, procrastinating instead of studying for my exams, when my mother called me telling me to come back home so we could leave for Australia. I was at first happy to be granted our visas, but then I was even happier when I realized I didn't have to sit my exam.
My family escaped. We were lucky, but lots are not so lucky. My people, my country, are still caught. 8 million people are displaced within Syria. 4 million are stuck in refugee camps. Hundreds of thousands have fled into Europe. This will not stop until my country finds peace.
Our country is racked by fear and oppression. Terrorist attacks are a daily occurrence. The government itself inspires terror in the citizens. The world is struggling right now to come to terms with the fear that these people incite. The goal of terror is division in the community. What they want is for individuals like us, Syrians, Muslims, and refugees, to feel isolated in their new communities. Our greatest tool against radicalization is community and acceptance. Nothing gives someone a better sense of community than scouting. To quote my scout leader, a scout should have a friend in every city he visits. Scouts Australia and the Cleve Core Rover crew have given us this new sense of community. We already have friends that will last us a lifetime. They have become our Australian family. We are indebted to you, Australia. You have accepted our family and given us new life and new opportunities, and we cannot thank you enough. But we are just one family. There are many more who still desperately need a home. You have generously accepted 12,000 Syrian refugees and given them a second life. But we plead that you give even more people a future in this beautiful country. We are free people, we are not terrorists. We are doctors, we are lawyers, we are teachers, we are engineers, we are businessmen. We are scouts.
Good morning, conference. Dear brothers and sisters in Scouting, welcome to this fourth conference day. Let us start. Let us start with some announcements from the host committee. Fatima, please.
Good morning. Hope you're doing well. We actually don't have specific announcements for you for the morning session, but just a little reminder, don't forget to bring your IDs and passports when you enter the venue hall, and of course your smile. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fatima, for that splendid reminder. Dear brothers and sisters in Scouting, I want to start by thanking you for yesterday, for your Scouting spirit and for your patience. I would want to apologize for the delay in announcing the results of the World Scout Committee elections, as well as the lack of information shared during the evening of the progress of the vote counting and when the election results were going to be shared. The tellers counted the votes twice last night, with a total of 11,592 votes from 161 NSOs. An additional 3 ballots were spoiled. The total number of NSOs casting vote is 164. So I want to stress again, 2 rounds of counting 11,592 votes. That is the reason why the result was not announced yesterday and it was delayed. It took a very long time. The tellers decided to take a second round in order to make sure that the results presented to us are beyond doubt. We received the results in a sealed envelope last evening from the tellers at 12:43 a.m. The ballots have since been deposited in a safe and are sealed. As chairs, we have the full confidence in the regularity and accuracy of the vote count. The tellers did an absolutely excellent job, and I would like to invite you to join me in an applause for all of them. Thank you. Without any further delays, I would now want to proceed by announcing the results of the vote. I will read up the name of the candidate and the votes cast. Jo Deman, 830 votes. Sorry, can you please not applause in between? We need to have this read out. Jemima Narti, 806 votes. Peter Blatch, please. Peter Blatch, 805 votes. Edward Andy Chapman, 780 votes. Sarah Rita Catan, 758 votes. Craig Turpey, 756 votes. Joan Rieg, 744 votes. Pia Mortensen, 742 votes. Ilyas Ismaili, 620 votes. Mehdi Ben Khalil, 615 votes. Janaprit Fernando, 599 votes. Leonardo Morales, 579 votes. Fernando Brodeschi, 568 votes. Ahmed Nimer, 545 votes. Mohamed Saman, 510 votes. Jean-François Champagne, 455 votes. Abdul Hafid Abudher 359 votes, Pierre Obama 300 votes, Rogers Lukele 221 votes. The votes are also projected on the screen. If I can now welcome the conference. We will now project the committee that will lead the organization for the coming 3 years in alphabetic order. If I can please invite you to the front, all the elected candidates, please come to the front of the plenary. Please, all elected candidates, can you please come to the front of the plenary? If I could please invite the newly elected committee to line up in front of the membership, show your faces, and we can take some photos of you and congratulate you together. No, down. I'm happy to announce that you have a full committee in front of you. Let's give them our congratulations. There will be a formal investiture happening tomorrow, so you will see more of these people then. Congratulations to all the candidates elected. We are convinced that you will be doing an excellent service to World Scouting. I would also like to thank all candidates for standing for election. We appreciate your efforts and commitment to our movement. Thank you. At this moment, I would also want all of us to thank Poland for their tremendous effort for the 2023 World Scout Jamboree bid. On the World Scout Committee, I have a last announcement, and that is that the announcement of the officers of the World Scout Committee will be shared the moment a decision has been reached by the newly elected committee, and not this afternoon as originally scheduled. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Joanna.
Thank you very much, Joanna.
I'll give you some time to put your devices. I will speak in French. Je vais parler en français.
I'm going to speak in French.
Après ces moments émotionnels,
After that emotional moment,
on passe à notre agenda.
let us move on to our
ordinaire.
agenda for today.
J'espère que vous avez passé une
I
agréable soirée
hope
la nuit
you
dernière
had
et
a lovely
apprécié
evening
l'excellent
yesterday
programme
and
que
enjoyed
nos
the fantastic
généreux hôtes ont
program
mis en
that
place
our
pour
generous
nous.
hosts put together
J'aimerais
for us.
maintenant attirer votre
I would now
attention
like
sur le
to
fait
draw your attention to the
que
fact
le logo
that
qui a
the
été affiché
logo
pour l'organisation
displayed
Scout de
for the
Palestine
Palestinian Scout
lors de
Organization
la cérémonie de
during
reconnaissance des
the
nouvelles
recognition
organisations
ceremony
membres
for new
n'était
member
pas en
organizations
effet le logo
was not in fact
officiel
the
de
official
l'OSM.
logo of the NSO.
Nous souhaitons vous
We
informer
would like
que
to
le
inform you
logo
that
de
the logo
l'organisation
of the
Scout de
Palestinian
la
Scout
de la
Organization
Palestine a été mis à
has
jour
been
dans les
updated
dossiers de l'OMS
in WOSM's
avec le
records
logo officiel
with
de
the
l'OSM.
official logo
Le
of the
logo
NSO.
officiel de l'OSM
The
sera
official
affiché à
logo
l'écran.
of the NSO will be displayed on the screen now.
Aujourd'hui est une journée
Today is a special day for World Scouting because our family has grown once again. As you know, we formally recognized on Monday 9 new countries, and yesterday we added Macau to the Scout family. For me and you, it is a special moment today to be able to announce the 11th new WOSM member to be recognized in the 2014-2017 triennium.
Comme vous vous en souviendrez, le
As you
Comité
will
mondial du
remember,
scoutisme
the
a
World Scout
recommandé
Committee
le 16
recommended
mai 2017
on 16th May
l'adhésion à
2017
l'OMMS de
the Iraq
l'Association
Scout
Scouts
Association
d'Irak.
for WOSM
Il y
membership
a un scrutin
through
postal
postal ballot
conformément à la Constitution
in accordance
de
with the
l'OMMS.
WOSM constitution.
Depuis minuit,
As
ce
of
bulletin
midnight,
de vote postal
this
a expiré
postal ballot has
et le
expired,
Bureau mondial du scoutisme
and the
n'a
World Scout
enregistré
Bureau
aucune
have
objection.
recorded no objections.
Je me réjouis donc de déclarer
I'm therefore delighted
au nom
to
de la
declare,
Conférence
on
mondiale
behalf of the
du
World Scout
scoutisme,
Conference,
la reconnaissance
the
de
recognition
l'Association
of
des
the
Scouts d'Irak
Iraq Scout
en tant
Association as the
Wait. Hold on. Donc la reconnaissance
So the recognition of the Iraq Scout Association as the 169th member organization of WOSM, representing the Republic of Iraq. It therefore acquires all the rights, privileges and obligations as outlined in the WOSM Constitution for member organizations, including the right of voice and vote at the conference. I would now like to invite representatives of the Iraq Scout Association to join me here on stage, as well as the chairperson of the World Scout Committee and the WOSM Secretary General, to hand over the certificate of membership. Congratulations once again to our brothers and sisters in the Iraq Scout Association. We are very happy to welcome you to the WOSM family.
Le renforcement des partenariats.
The strengthening of existing partnerships has been a major priority for WOSM over the past 3 years. This is why I am particularly happy to introduce you to our next guest, who represents a partner organization with whom WOSM has had a fruitful collaboration over the past few years. He has supported thousands of scouts throughout the world to be trained in dialogue and peace.
peut-elle contribuer grandement à la mission
and
de
thereby
l'OMS?
contribute to the mission of WOSM. I'm very happy to invite to the scene His Excellency, Mr. Faisal bin Mohammed of Kaisid. His Excellency.
Vous avez la parole.
You may speak.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Assalamu alaikum. Well, I would love to speak in my own language, Arabic, but the official language of the center is English, so allow me to speak in English. First, I would like to congratulate the winners today. We seen this morning very interesting celebration to see all the winners, and I would like to congratulate especially Iraq for their membership. Chairman Gonzalez, Secretary General Al-Hindawi, dear brothers and sisters in Scouting. Before commencing, I would like to thank His Excellency, the UN Secretary General, for his message. He is a man of faith and a true advocate of dialogue. With his help and vision, the Kaisid International Dialogue Center, in partnership with the United Nations, launched a global action plan enabling religious leaders to prevent and counter incitement to violence in the name of religion. It is a tremendous privilege to be the first non-scouting partner and a friend to address a World Scout Conference. Thank you for this unique honor. For many years, I have been personally inspired by the Scouting movement and have been enriched by the friendships and experience of serving on the World Scout Foundation. In my own country of Saudi Arabia and around the world, I have seen the great work carried by the Scouts, inspired by the universal principles of Scouting to make a positive impact on their communities. The joint partnership between WOSM and the Kaisid International Dialogue Center in Vienna has been a beacon of light and is the perfect vehicle for enabling Scout dialogue, warriors or champions to achieving peace, coexistence, and building bridges at both the local and the global level. Despite the fact that over time many have manipulated religion to justify acts of violence and hate in the name of religion, we must also recognize the integral part that religion plays in the dialogue process. Over 80% of the world subscribe to a religious or a strong ethical belief, sharing common values that unify them in respect and coexistence. Through our work with political, religious, and cultural leaders, we are firm in our conviction that a culture of tolerance and coexistence is an achievable goal. Religion is a part of the solution, not the problem.
Congratulations to all the young participants.
One of the jewels in the crown of Scout Lead projects has been the Messenger of Peace program, which enjoys the continued support of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman ibn Abdul Aziz, and His Majesty King Carl Gustav. the honorary
Scouting
chairman
teaches individuals
of the
compassion,
WSF.
and they make society better for all. I applaud your plans to rally 40 million scouts from
The Messengers of Peace program has been unique in enabling us to reach out to a much larger segment of world youth by engaging with the Scout activists and the Scout networks on the ground. We at KC Dialogue Center have developed Dialogue for Peace training, a dialogue badge, a Scout dialogue manual, and we worked in a major survey about spiritual development in Scouting, which demonstrated clearly to us that spiritual development and dialogue are important to most of you. For us all to succeed in building these bridges of coexistence for peace, we need to combine the efforts of at least 3 Scout programs. First, the Messengers of Peace program. Second, the Dialogue of Peace program. Third, the Spiritual Development program. I believe strongly that all of this work needs to happen at all levels of our societies, engaging people from all ages and all walks of life. I believe that you, the Scouts, have the ability and the drive to make this a reality through your commitment and inspirational dedication worldwide. Your generation is the largest youth generation in history. Throughout your lives, you can make a real difference in your communities, and you will change the world for the better. You Scouts and leaders you are our leaders and represent a positive force in your countries and communities. There are thousands of stories of how Scouts have been instrumental in maintaining peace during wartime in many parts of the world and have reached out the other across the divide. With over 40 million Scouts active around the world, you represent an amazing force for good. I congratulate Secretary General Al-Hindawi for bringing youth to the global decision-making table. He led the UN Security Council to empower youth in contributing to peace building in a truly meaningful way. His leadership of the Scouting movement worldwide will now help us all, will help you all of you here to bring millions of hearts and arms to building peace worldwide through Scouting and beyond. I wish you a very successful conference. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Shukran. Merci beaucoup, Votre Excellence, pour votre
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your continued support for Scouting's cause. We hope to continue our cooperation and to strengthen it even further in the forthcoming triennium. We will continue by speaking to WOSM's partners and to hearing about their vision for collaborating further with WOSM. It's a great honor for me to welcome our guest speaker. The next one will be via video message. This is a message from His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General.
Hello to all Scout movement friends. Also share the same humanistic spirit.
Scouts contribute to their communities, protect our environment, and help people in need. And scouting teaches individuals compassion, and they make society better for all. I applaud your plans to rally 40 million scouts from 165 countries to help reach the Sustainable Development Goals. This is truly impressive, and we count on the scouts to help realize our vision of a life of dignity for all. Thank you.
As we heard, the UN Secretary General urged us to take action to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. As Scouts, we do our good deeds and contribute to our local communities every day. A better world. We are very grateful to His Excellency Mr. Guterres for his kind words of encouragement and motivation, and we will do our best, as we always do as Scouts, to contribute as much as we can to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Our next
Hello to all Scout movement friends gathered in Baku, and I thank the government of Azerbaijan for hosting. Congratulations to all the young participants. The United Nations and the Scouts have so much in common. Your Secretary General, Mr. Ahmad Al-Enhawi, was the first ever UN Youth Envoy, and I'm committed to building on the invaluable contributions he made. The United Nations and the Scouts also share the same humanistic spirit. Scouts contribute to their communities, protect our environment, and help people in need. And scouting teaches individuals compassion, and they make society better for all. I applaud your plans to rally 40 million scouts from 165 countries to help reach the Sustainable Development Goals. This is truly impressive, and we count on the scouts to help realize our vision of a life of dignity for all. Thank you.
Recognize the moments that come to define us, the moments that shape us into the people we become. I certainly didn't. I first met her on a sunny afternoon, the girl in the blue uniform. I was 8 years old, living in the village with my grandmother, and it was the first of many times my small village would come to experience severe drought. We were hungry. So one sunny afternoon, the girl in the blue uniform found me underneath a tree, too weak to move. It had been 2 days since my last meal. As she handed me a bowl of warm porridge, I asked, "Why are you here?" She replied, "As Africans, we must uplift each other." What does that even mean? I thought to myself. What I didn't recognize at the time is that one day, this very same moment would shape the way I see the world and my place in it. The second drought came 2 years later, more tragic than the first. And with that, the devastation of being separated from my grandmother. To ensure my survival, I'm sent to live in the city with an aunt. It is the first time I find myself in a city school. It is the first time I experience what it is to be unequal. You see, in the village, we're all equal. But the way the kids at school look at me tells me a different story. I am not their equal. So at the age of 10, I must now deal with 3 kinds of inequality all at the same time. Racial inequality because of the color of my skin. Gender inequality because I was born a girl. Social inequality because of my humble upbringing. Yet, despite all this, I take comfort in knowing that there is a place I'll always belong, home, in my small village, where we are all equal. So when I go back home during a school holiday, everything is the same, except for one thing. I now have much more than the rest of my family. And in their eyes, I am no longer their equal. I feel guilty. But then I remember the girl in the blue uniform, and suddenly her words make sense. We must uplift each other. And it's in this very moment that I decided I want to be just like her. Because now I too now need to uplift my family. I too now need to uplift my village. More than a decade later, I landed at Heathrow Airport with 250 pounds to my name, with no friends or family in the United Kingdom. But I still had my dream, the dream to become the girl in the blue uniform. 4 years later, I joined the United Nations and became the girl in the blue uniform. So, when 3 years ago, I found myself with the greatest honor to contribute towards uplifting more than half of the world's population, women and girls, it becomes clear to me that in order to uplift one half of society, one must uplift the whole of society. Because a whole of society issue, such as gender equality, requires a whole of society response. It's a new paradigm, but it's a better paradigm. And this became my vision, to create He for She, a solidarity movement for gender equality. On September 20th, 2014, UN Women, with the support of British actor and Global Goodwill Ambassador Emma Watson, launched He for She. Within 3 days, more than 100,000 men answered the rallying call. Within 5 days, at least one man in every single country in the world joined the movement, generating more than 2.5 billion conversations on social media. Today, He for She has more than 250 student clubs around the world. We have engaged heads of states, global CEOs, and university presidents to create sustainable societies of equality. In closing, I want to go back to where I began. I want to go back to one of the themes of this event: dream, believe, act. 3 very powerful words. In so many ways, He for She is about dreaming big. It is a story about the power of an individual to create change. If a once malnourished African girl can stand here today in front of you as a senior member of the United Nations, miles away from home, imagine the potential that you all have to create change. The potential to uplift each other and create a world in which everyone, youth, men and boys, women, LGBTQI, can have a seat at the table. A world where men can work alongside women to bring equality. A world where the voices of minority and women of color are given equal value. A world where we can all concern the issues of the LGBTQI and make them our own. My grandmother always used to say that each generation faces its own choices. How will we grow? How will we be more tomorrow than we are today? Are we going to be on the right side of history? when the civil rights movement declared that this is wrong, enslaving another human became a no-go, and the whole world grew. When women around the world protested to the right to vote and won that vote, the whole world grew. When apartheid fell and Nelson Mandela said that he was going to forgive his captors, the whole world grew. When people like you and I stand up for what is right, the whole world grows. So men in this room, I would like to extend your personal invitation to join the millions of he for she male activists we have chosen to stand on the right side of history. Please visit heforshe.org and make your own personal commitment. Let us all dare to invent the future. So one day, years and decades from now, we can look back and say, there was a moment and I was part of it. There was a movement and I created it. There was a dream and I saw it come true. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Nyama Yaro, pour ces paroles inspirantes. Nous sommes très heureux que les femmes de l'OMS et l'ONU collaborent maintenant étroitement à l'initiative He for She.
On the He for She initiative, and look forward to achieving a significant impact in the lives of millions of young women and men globally throughout this partnership. And I'm now going to hand over to Ahmed to announce something to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just would like to also share with the delegates that this morning, World Organization of the Scout Movement has signed a memorandum of understanding with UN Women, pledging the support of the organization as well to He for She campaign. Thank you.
Félicitations et bon courage.
Thank you very much. Young people are at the heart of everything that WOSM does, including its partnerships. And this is why it's extremely important for us to enable young people from within Scouting to take part in various different regional and global initiatives in order to promote young people's interests. This is why I'm pleased to introduce to you our last guest speaker, Mr. Niels Kazo, Global President of ISEC. ISEC is the largest youth-led organization whose mission is peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential. Mr. Kazo has dedicated himself to this cause since 2009. He's responsible for global strategy, operations, and the leadership body of this organization in over 122 countries and territories, and with over 70,000 members throughout the world. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kazo to the stage.
Thank you for having me here. All right, so if you are anything like I am, you would know that having gone to school or having gone to university, in my case, didn't really give me everything I needed to get employed. or to be able to go out there and make a difference in the world, or to really understand who I am and what I want to do with my life. In fact, a lot of the things that I've learned today is not because of my degree. Well, I have that, and I think it's extremely important, but it is because of the practical experiences I've gained through other organizations and organizations like ISAC. And so, as I prepared to come here today, one of the things that I thought about was, what if we could truly disrupt the education system? What if we could ensure that every young person out there doesn't need to go through what I went through, which is a lot of years of studying and a lot of years of not doing anything and learning by practicing different experiences and learning through challenging environments. I asked myself, well, how can we ensure together that every young person around the world has the chance to have a natural path for leadership development, for lifelong education, for active citizenship, for skills development so they get employed better, or to actually focus on making a positive impact in the world? For me, this answer came through when I actually found an organization named ISAC. And this was when I was in university, where I was spending my time actually in the basketball court instead of class, because I had more fun over there. I've met new people. And somewhere along that path, someone came up to me and said, hey, join this organization. You'll learn a lot of things along the way. And so I did. And I came to find this organization called ISAC, who actually is one of the largest youth-led organizations. And actually, I realize right now when they say youth-led, that meant me. But actually, what it focuses on is to ensure that we collectively avoid another world war. That we can actually focus on peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential. And we do that by focusing on young people because we believe they are the future. And if there are problems in the world today, it can be solved by one thing: leadership. And we want to enable that leadership in every young person that's out there today. And leadership can be about many things, but we believe it starts with empowering others, solution orientation, being a world citizen, and most importantly, being self-aware. But this was an organization I found by chance. I had the privilege, I had the honor of stumbling upon an organization like ISAC. There are thousands and millions of young people out there that don't get the chance to join an organization like this. And so I thought to myself, how do we disrupt the education system? How do we ensure that every young person has a natural path to gain skills, develop their leadership, and have education for life? And I imagined, what would a world look like if every young person who went to school deliberately found scouts? And that's already a reality, because when I grew up, I knew there were scouts in my school. And I know there's scouts all around the world. But from there, what if the natural path from joining the scouts movement, as you move into university, is where you find an organization like ISAC? And once you're done with your university, for example, you find an organization like JCI. And together, we deliberately ensure that every young person out there that joins an education system, regardless of what the education system is gaining practical experiences through challenging environments and is learning on the go and getting education for life. And I can definitely say that we could do this by ourselves as ISAC, but it's 2017, and the world has bigger issues than just ourselves and our own little bubble. And I think if we really need to make a big impact, we need to do this together. And which is why I think that if organizations like us come together, we can truly make a difference by ourselves, holding each other's hands and moving forward together with this movement. And all of this not because, well, it's nice to do it, but because I think the world is calling upon us today to truly make a difference, to come together as young people and take a challenge of the Sustainable Development Goals and do something about it. When I think about the SDGs, I realize that 15 years from now, 14, 13 years from now, I am building the world not only for myself, but for my kids, for your grandkids. And if I leave the world the way it is today for the future, then I would have failed my generation and the next generation to come. And because of which, we as an organization decided that we can no longer be on the sideline. We need to take an active stand in ensuring that those goals are achieved. And for that, we wanted to create a platform for young people around the world to come together, regardless of the organization, to become youth for global goals and to get real about some of the issues that's happening in the world today. I just want to show you a quick video that gives you a sense of what I'm talking about. Came about in 2015, and actually it started by ISAC as an organization going to the United Nations headquarters, in which I think Ahmed played a big role in helping us get there. And over there we realized we needed to commit to something. We needed to commit young people to taking action. And we focused in 3 different areas. We focused on awareness, we focused on understanding, and we focused on action. And awareness for us is basically when a young person realizes there are 17 goals, it needs collaboration, and it's due by 2030. Understanding is when they realize and understand at least one of the targets of the SDG and know how to contribute to it. And finally, action is when they actually decide to do something about it and get their hands dirty. And over the last couple of years, we focused on a couple of things. So when it comes to awareness, we have campaigns like the Let's Get Real campaign that you just saw a video of. We have a pledge with the public foundation called One for All. And my most favorite one is actually, we've just developed an SDG curriculum with the Asian Development Bank that has been tested with over 120 young people from all around the world, where a curriculum actually is designed for any organization or anyone that wants to teach the global goals to any person. And this is designed over 3 different phases, and this curriculum is accessible to anyone right now on youthforglobalgoals.org. So if you as the Scouts or you as any organization want to say, actually I want to go teach someone about the Sustainable Development Goals, you can simply go to this curriculum, download it, read it, educate yourself, teach. It's that simple. We've also run forums like Youth Speak Forum, where young people from around the university or from your local community can come together and actually get engaged, inspired, and take action on that day itself towards making a difference in one of the Sustainable Development Goals that they care about. And finally, when it actually comes to action, we have different programs in which different organizations can work with us to execute them. One of them is the local volunteer product, which is basically young people from your community working with internationals from around the world on one of the Sustainable Development Goals. You can either choose to be an ambassador, and you can also choose to use the young person's guide to take simple actions for yourself. Now, we wanted to make this guide easily accessible so that any person out there who wants to make a difference by simple actions can simply download it, read it, understand, choose an SDG that they want to work towards, and take everyday actions just like that. And finally, if you're adventurous and you want to actually explore the world while making an impact, you can go on ISEC's Global Volunteer product, which is basically where you go and volunteer from 6 to 12 weeks in another country on an SDG of your choice that you feel passionate about, and work with that local community, come back to your own country, and then start working towards that positive change that you want to see in the world. We also have other products, but I'm not going to talk about them for now. You can find them at isec.org. But finally, when it came to the Scouts and I started to make this presentation, I thought that there was a clear collaboration. ISEC has a 2020 vision. It is to become a youth leadership movement, shaping what we do around what the world needs, being accessible to everyone everywhere, and growing disruptively. And when I looked at Vision 2023, I saw similarities. Becoming a leading educational movement, impact through active citizens, positive change in communities in the world, shared values, and enabling 100 million young people. I thought that if we put hands together, we could actually disrupt the way education and leadership is given to every young person in the world for peace and positive impact. Imagine that. Every young person has a curriculum, has a natural path for lifelong education, leadership, and active citizenship because of our partnerships. I think finally, if anything needs to happen at this point of time, it falls upon this generation of young people to make a stand. And I have a final message that I want to play for you. For you, the young person sitting in the room that really wants to make a difference. Can I have that second video?
Hey you, yes you, the young person watching behind the screen. This message is for you, the student, the entrepreneur, the professional, the dreamer, the passionate, the knowledge seeker, the storyteller, the traveler, the brother, the sister, the nomad, the one who wakes up in the morning asks himself if this was the right choice. And it is. You are the reason why the world keeps moving. But also, you are the only one responsible. Hey you, yes you, the young person watching behind the screen. This message is for you, the student, the entrepreneur, the professional, the dreamer, the passionate, the knowledge seeker, the storyteller, the traveler.
And so I leave you with this. What if we stop looking at just ourselves? What if we stop looking into our own bubble? What if we actually look outside? What if we actually partner with other organizations? What if we actually care? What if we actually take action? What if we could really change the world? Is that just a nice statement that we put out there to make ourselves feel a little better? Or can we actually do something about it? I leave you with this. What if, together, we could really make a difference? Thank you, and thank you for having me here today.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cazo, for these inspiring words and for being so passionate about the development of leadership potential and international outlook of today's young people. Guests, sisters and brothers in Scouting, with this, we will conclude our partnership session. We hope that this was an interesting opportunity to learn a little bit more about the potential that we have to build partnerships within our movement And we hope that this will encourage you to explore similar partnerships on a local level. Before finishing, I have the pleasure of inviting Marek Fukas, who is the expert, to give us some clarifications and explanations for the reason why we had to stop using the electronic voting system yesterday. Over to you, Marek.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I would like to apologize for lack of information about the problem with the system we had yesterday. I'm trying to fix now. So the local IT team and the development team in Czech Republic have investigated the issue with the e-voting system present during the vote on the constitutional amendment number 2. Here is the result of the investigation. There was no software problem. In the server log, it has been found the server has lost connectivity to the database shortly after the vote has been closed, so it was not possible to access the detailed results of the vote at that time. Some of the delegations confirmed they were able to see the detailed results after the vote, but some of them not. After the restart of the application reconnected to the database and the results were accessible without any problem. As a preemptive action, the database connection pool has been increased in order to limit the risk of database congestion. For this reason, we kept the voting on the amendment number 2 also in the system. So if you log in, you can check the results were there, and if you remember how you voted, is the electronic vote, you can check if it's still there, just to make you confident that there was no software problem there. So I have also a couple of practical things before we start the e-voting today. So I'd like to kindly remind you to use the device for e-voting only. I'd like to ask you not to plug anything to the laptops. And I'd like to ask you to make sure your computer is connected to the charger and charger is connected to the electricity. I'd like to also kindly ask you, please do not unplug the server that is located in the middle of the plenary to charge your mobile phone. That happened during the break yesterday. And also, I'd like to kindly ask you not to log out from the system during the voting session. So please log out to your laptops now, and if you experience any problems, please raise your country tag and our team will assist you. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this clarification. And I encourage all of the delegates to take into account the technical information that is given us. Now, we're going to take a small 4-minute break. And we will meet back in here shortly. Thank you very much, and see you shortly.
Dear delegates, I want to remind you this is not a coffee break and we will reconvene in approximately 60 seconds. So please start taking your seats. We're getting this party started. Dear delegates, may I encourage you to take your seats and get ready for the next session to start. Dear conference, we are about to start the next plenary session. Please do take your seats. Dear World Scout Committee members, can I please encourage you to take your seats as well? Dear delegates, I hope you're all seated and ready to go. Dear World Scout Conference, I hope you are happy and ready to assume your responsibilities as the highest decision-making body of this organization. We are about to move into a session of voting and decision-making. Please take your seats. Please stop taking photos, and please concentrate on what the decisions we have in front of us. Welcome back. We're about to start the next plenary session. I want to start this session by reminding you all of the common code of conduct that we have agreed to follow, and I would like to invite Stephen Peck to join us on stage to clarify the procedure if breaches happen to the World Events Code of Conduct. Please.
Thank you. Conference, I would like to make it clear that WOSM is committed to upholding the values which are contained in the Conference Code of Conduct, which you can find in the app and the participant handbook. To reiterate, our behaviour is based on our shared Scouting values. We are determined that all participants at this conference will have a positive and harassment-free experience. We do not tolerate behaviour which discriminates or devalues any person. Such behaviour is not appropriate in any conference venue, hotel, or social setting. Some issues have been brought to our attention, and I would like to assure conference that they have been dealt with quickly and decisively. If any participant feels they have experienced anything less than the highest level of respect, they are invited to contact either myself or Joran Hagedal by any method with which they feel comfortable and appropriate. That may be personally, via the app, via their head of delegation, via their international commissioner, or simply via a friend. You have our promise that we will treat you with dignity and respect, and we will both support you and deal decisively with any issues which are brought to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. So, we are about to move into a session considering the draft resolutions for the 41st World Scout Conference. We will also go back to considering the constitutional amendments for our constitution. Just to clarify before we move into listening to the report from the Resolutions Committee, I want to let you know that there has been an update done to the amendments document on the website and on the app. It now contains 4 more amendments that unfortunately were missed when they were recorded yesterday. So please have a look at the updated amendments on the website or in the app. I would also want to ask you to sign in to the electronic voting system. As you know, we will be using it for this session, so please sign in and make sure it works. If you have any kind of issues, please contact a technician, put up your card, or let us know in any way. So there are some issues over there on the right side in the room. If I can have technicians, please. So keep up your cards until somebody's there to help you. And we will try, and then a technician for the middle as well. Over there, yes, somebody will help you. That's great. So Please sign in and make sure it works. We're going to practice. We have an issue over there to the left of the room. Any other issues, please raise your cards now. And of course, if there's anything arising throughout this session, please do let us know. We're going to take it slow and steady. There's an issue in the middle of the room as well. I can have a technician. Can you keep up your sign? I couldn't see your country name. Over there. And while we are resolving these issues, we will have the pleasure of taking part of the report from the Resolutions Committee, who have been working very hard and very late on providing these amendments to us. So please join me in welcoming to stage Mr. Daniel Corson Jr. to deliver the report from the Resolutions Committee.
Thank you, dear conference. Just a reminder that the report of the Resolutions Committee can be found in Conference Doc 4D. The Resolutions Committee received yesterday, by the deadline at 2 p.m. local time in Baku, 31 amendments. Of these amendments, 14 were amendments to draft resolutions and 17 were amendments to the triennial plan. Out of the 17 amendments to the triennial plan, the Resolutions Committee deemed one amendment non-compliant as it requested the addition of an operational clause to the triennial plan. All other amendments were carefully considered by the Resolutions Committee against the Conference Document 2B Resolution and Amendment Guidelines. In considering the amendments, we paid attention to consistency, further clarification to the draft resolutions, and avoiding duplicates. In doing so, the Resolutions Committee did not consider the potential additional resources required if these amendments are accepted by the conference. Specifically, the Resolutions Committee ruled out parts of a proposed amendment to draft Resolution 2017I, Evaluation of WOSM's official and working languages, as it was found to be a duplicate of the originally proposed draft resolution. Furthermore, the Resolutions Committee chose to merge amendments to draft Resolution 2017L, Youth Advisor Functions and Responsibilities, to incorporate the intention of both proposed amendments. In double-checking some documents this morning, the committee has seen an oversight and that we mistakenly omitted to include some amendments in our report. Hence, that's why we just released an updated version that includes amendments that have been presented by the UK, Denmark, and Sweden. Courtesy resolutions will be finalized later today and will be shared with the conference tomorrow, Friday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and the Resolutions Committee. Before I explain to you the procedures we'll be following today, we will be having a test vote to make sure that everybody is online and we are prepared to go. So I give over to David Berg to take us through the test vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask if there are still any delegations having a problem signing in? Please hold up your country cards. I see none. I will now initiate a test vote. It will run for 5 minutes. It's a simple majority vote, just saying test. You can choose anything you want. You can use any split vote functionality you would like. I will ask throughout the test if any delegates have problems, then please hold up your country cards. Here we go. If you have any problem voting, please raise up your country card.
I can announce that we're having some really good progress in here. Currently 105 out of 166 member organizations have voted.
Conference will note the addition of the 2 extra members, which are evidently the National Scout Organization of Macau and National Scout Organization of Iraq, having been granted voting rights as of today. Is there anybody having a problem casting a vote? Please hold up your country cards. I see nobody holding up their country. I see one person holding up their country card. Can I have a technician, please? Up there, all in the top. If you have any problem with casting your vote, please hold up your country card now. This is a test vote. It will help us to understand if the system is fully functioning.
Okay, we need a technician up there in the left corner. Anybody else experience problems with the system or having any technical challenges? And also if you, for example, you're missing your voting kit, it is possible to get a new card for your voting kit. So if that's a problem, please do let us know before we go into the formal voting session. We want to make sure that as many member organizations as possible are part of this important and democratic process. Okay, are any other technical problems? Any other problems? This is the moment to let us know. No, I cannot see any other problems, and I will thus close the vote. Congratulations, you now all officially receive the e-voting badge.
Okay, now move on to the source.
Yes. So I will explain to you how we'll be working today. We will now start with considering the draft resolutions proposed toward the World Scout Committee, and after that we move to those proposed by member organizations. Once we start considering draft resolutions proposed by member organizations, I will give the floor to them to move their own proposals. I will then allow for questions on the substance of the proposal, and I will keep this necessarily brief as we already had the breakout sessions yesterday on all of these proposals. Any speaking in the plenary will be limited to a maximum of 2 minutes. If you have received amendments on a particular proposal that were deemed in order by the Resolutions Committee, we will consider these in the order as decided by the Resolutions Committee. And for each amendment, I will ask the amending member to speak to it, after which I will move it to the floor for consideration. Again, keep any inputs brief and to the point, and please avoid any kind of repetitions. I also want to remind all delegations that in line with the rules of procedure, no additional amendments from the floor can be considered at this stage. Once all questions have been answered or our allotted time runs out, I will move the amendment to vote. You will always see the actual amendment we are voting on discussing highlighted on the screens behind me. Depending on the outcome of the vote, the amendment will be included in the proposal or it will be rejected. We will then move to the next amendment and repeat the process until there is no more amendments for the specific document. Where there are several amendments from one proposer and same seconders, the chairs have agreed to group these into a block. This means in some cases we will consider several amendments in a block. If you object to this procedure, you need to notify me. Once all amendments have been considered and voted upon, I will move the final proposal as amended, if any, for a vote. That being said, do you have any questions regarding the procedure? Yes, France, please.
Je vais parler en français. On voulait demander quand est-ce que nous allons faire les amendements constitutionnels que nous n'avons pas fait hier. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Elise. So, the procedure we will be doing today is we will open the discussion on the resolutions. We will be doing resolution A and B, and then we will be moving on to resolution 2017H, as this is very much in line with the session we just went through. It's about the Sustainable Development Goals. And after that, we will have a coffee break, and then we will revert back to the constitutional amendments. And then after that, we will have a lunch, and we will come back to the plenary, and we will go back to the resolutions with all their amendments as proposed in the document and by the Resolutions Committee. Is that clear? Any other questions about the procedures? Very good. In that case, we move to Resolution A. And as you can see on the screen, draft Resolution A on membership. Can I please have it on the screen? Yes. Good. So as you can see, draft Resolution A on membership is a technical resolution which just records all the votes done by postal ballot to accept new member organizations into WOSM during the last triennium. So we don't need to vote on that since each individual application was accepted by postal ballot. We are moving to draft Resolution B on the Scout Association of Macau. That was approved yesterday, so this one we don't need to consider now as well. So let's get to the business. Since we had our partners here just a moment ago, we are moving to draft resolution 2017H on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. You can see it on the screens. Very good. We have received several amendments to this resolution. All of them were proposed by Sweden. We have decided that we should present all these amendments in one block, and I now ask Sweden to please introduce their amendments to this resolution. Can I have a mic to Sweden, please? Yes, great.
Hello, Sweden here. My name is Martin. I'm the International Commissioner. Sweden, we're very happy to see that the World Scout Committee is suggesting an extra focus on the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals for the next triennia and beyond. However, we feel that there were some aspects missing in the proposed draft resolution. Therefore, we put forward a number of amendments, and they are aiming to highlight that the 2030 Agenda is part of a larger context of United Nations resolutions, to stress that the agenda is a holistic framework where all goals are of equal importance. We can't pick our favorites. Scouting already contributes to the implementation of the agenda, but we can do more through our program, through partnerships, and by including this approach in our governance. That's why we are putting forward these amendments to the resolution.
Thank you very much, Sweden. Are there any questions on this? Yes, are there any questions on this amendment? Yes, there's one to the right of the plenary. Can I please have a mic? And when you speak, can you please introduce yourself and the NSO you're coming from? Okay, there's no comment, no question. So, no questions on the amendment. Are there any debates on the proposed amendment? I see none. In that case, we will vote on the proposed amendment. I ask the tellers to be ready. This amendment needs simple majority to be carried, and we move the amendment for a vote. I open the vote for 5 minutes now. Please vote. And still at this stage, if you have technical issues, please do let us know. The vote is still open. We will keep it open for another minute. So please vote now. The vote will be open for another minute. Hopefully we can shorten the voting times later on in the day, but we're keeping them long for now to make sure that everybody is included into this process. You have 20 seconds left to vote, so please do vote. And we close the vote, and you see the results on your screen, and you will see the results behind me very soon. And the amendment is carried. Very good. So having approved all the amendments to the resolution, Resolution 2017-H on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we will now proceed to voting on the resolution. First, I will open the floor for any questions on the resolution. No questions. Do I have, is there anybody who wants to debate the resolution? I see none. Then we will move to a vote on the resolution as amended. The tellers, please be ready. This is a resolution that needs to be approved by a simple majority. We will move it for a vote now. I open the vote. We have 5 minutes to vote. Sorry, is there a technical issue? Can I have assistance? Very good, thank you. We're keeping the vote open, so if you have any technical issues, please notify us. The technical issue is resolved. It's okay, great. Any other technical issues? No. Then there is, I will close the vote in 1 minute. Twenty seconds left of voting. The vote is closed. And the resolution is carried and adopted. So, very well, we're now going to break for a 20-minute coffee break, and we will see you back here in plenary at 11:15. Thank you very much for your collaboration and hard work this far. You will be automatically logged out of the electronic voting system, so you need to log back in when you enter. This is because of security reasons. You will be automatically logged out of the system when you leave the room. Thank you. Dear delegates, please take your seats. We are about to reconvene. Please take your seats and log in to the e-voting system, please. We are just about to start. Welcome back to the plenary. I hope you had a delightful coffee break. And we will start with a 2-minute recap video of yesterday. We are back in plenary to continue with the constitutional amendments where we left them yesterday. I encourage all of you to log back on to the e-voting system, as you have been automatically logged off during the coffee break. This was done because of security, and you now need to re-enter your passwords and reconnect to the system. So I will give you some moments to do that now. If you experience any problems, raise your country card, please. And while you log on to the e-voting system, I'm going to remind you where we left the constitutional amendments yesterday. So, you can find the constitutional amendments in conference document 7A. Yesterday we covered constitutional amendments 1 to 4 proposed by the World Scout Committee, as well as the constitutional amendment by Kazakhstan. Today we still have constitutional amendment 5 until 11 proposed by the World Scout Committee. And I also want to make you aware, 5 until 12 proposed by the World Scout Committee. And I also want to make you aware of the final vote, which is a proposal that grants authority to the World Scout Committee to deal with minor text corrections when producing a new edition of the WOSM Constitution. So if the debates go into nitty-gritty and grammar today, I want to remind you about this. This is not why we are here. We are here to debate the constitution of our organization. So that's where we left it yesterday, and we will now go back and start from the top and go through, and hopefully we are done with all of this by lunch. I also want to remind you that at this point we take no amendments from the floor in accordance with the rule of procedure, and that all of these votes need to pass by a 2/3 majority. Are you all logged in and ready to go? I need some nods. Yeah? You're with me? We have some technical issues at the back, please. Can I have a technician? Super. Any other technical issues? No? There's one in the back, holding the country card over there. Technician on its way, on her way. There's another one in the back in the left. Great. So, any other technical issues, please raise your cards. And we will resolve these before we go to the amendments. Very good. Are the technical issues resolved, or if there's still an issue, it's still an issue, okay? Okay, so while the last technical issue is being resolved, we move to Constitutional Amendment number 5, Obligations of Member Organizations, and I move it on behalf of the World Scout Committee, and I give over to David for technical comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The proposal contained in Constitutional Amendment 5, proposed by the World Scout Committee, removes reference to Chapter 2 in Article 7.3 D of the WOSM Constitution. This specific article contains the requirement that member organizations align their national constitution with the WOSM Constitution, Chapters 1, 2, and 3. Now, the articles in Chapter 2 of the WOSM Constitution only relate to WOSM itself. That particular chapter, if you would look at it, covers its title, purpose, organs, and legal status of the World Organization. As such, there is no logic why member organizations would be expected to include any of these specific WOSM provisions in their own constitution. This has also led for the Constitutions Committee to confusion with some NSOs who thought, because of the requirement to align with chapters 1, 2, and 3, that they had to align their national structure with the WOSM structure, which is evidently not the aim of this particular item. Therefore, the World Scout Committee moves to remove chapter 2 from Article 7.3d in the amendment you see on the screen. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, David. I open up for questions about the amendment. I see none. Then I open up for debate about the amendment. I see none. This amendment needs to pass by a 2/3 majority. There's still a technical issue. There's a comment. Yes, please. Can I have a mic over there? Apologies for that.
Voy a hablar en español. Gracias, mi nombre es Javier Sandoval de Costa Rica. Efectivamente, solicito a esta asamblea eliminar esta obligación. Por ejemplo, en Costa Rica, la constitución de nuestra asociación está dada por ley de la República. Cualquier reforma implica llevarla al Congreso de la República y negociar con sus congresistas para poder hacerla. Por lo tanto, y no sé cuántos otros países puedan estar en la misma situación, por lo tanto, solicito sea eliminada. Gracias.
Thank you. And I give over for clarification to David.
To be clear, the proposed amendment removes a need for a member organization to align with a particular chapter of the WOSM Constitution. So it actually lessens the requirement instead of increasing it. Although, I mean, there's no real technical difference because, but there's no need to make, this will not have an implication on national constitutions as such. Of course, I mean, the requirement remains that you align with chapters 1 and 3 of the WOSM Constitution as a national Scout organization, but this is one of the elements which guarantees unity throughout the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other NSO wishing to debate the amendment? I see none. In that case, I'm going to move it for a vote. This needs 2/3 majority to pass. Tellers, please be ready. I will open the vote for 3 minutes. We proceed with the vote. So, considering the speed of the voting, I will keep the vote open for an additional 1 minute. There is a technical issue over there on the left in the room, Argentina. Can I have a technician, please? Colombia. And Colombia? Guatemala? We're keeping the vote open until we're resolving the technical issues. Okay, we have
two at the back.
Any more technical issues? Yes, we're keeping the vote open until we resolve the technical issues. Okay, the issue in the back is resolved. Very good. Any other technical issues? User issues? No. We will close the vote. And the amendment is carried. We move on to amendment number 6, co-options to the World Scout Committee. I move it on behalf of the World Scout Committee, and I give over to David for technical remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The proposal you see behind me aims to avoid exceptionally long mandates of World Scout Committee members. This is a principle of good governance under GSAT, the Global Support Assessment Tool, which we also recommend to national Scout organizations. The amendment introduces the principle that individuals which are co-opted before the first half of the triennium would be considered to have served a term on the World Scout Committee and therefore only be re-eligible once more thereafter. Individuals which come on board after the first half of the triennium would not be considered to have served a term and therefore be eligible for election for 2 more triennia. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions about the amendment? I see no questions, so we open up for debate about the amendment. I see no one who wants to. Yes, please raise your country cards if you want to speak.
India.
India?
India.
Thank you. Would you just kindly enlighten what is the compelling necessity for such a resolution?
The aim is to avoid exceptionally long mandates of World Scout Committee members. There have been examples, both on the World Scout Committee and in the Regional Committee in the past, of longer mandates than the constitutionally provided 2 terms, which is due to the co-option clause, and the aim here is to put a certain limit to that. This is a principle of good governance under GSAT, the Global Support Assessment Tool, which we also recommend as a best practice to national Scout organizations, and the aim is to align the World Organization with this best practice.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to debate the amendment? I see none. In that case, tellers, please be ready. It needs 2/3 majority to pass, and I open the vote for 2 minutes. Technical issue, Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, your issue was resolved? We're going to close the vote in 30 seconds. The vote is closed. And it was carried. We move on for Constitutional Amendment number 7, virtual meetings. David, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proposal allows formally for meetings of the World Scout Committee through electronic communication technology. It also allows for the attendance of one of its members through virtual methods. And as such, we want to establish this in the Constitution to avoid any future challenge using this kind of method to have the World Scout Committee meet in full in virtual or individual members attending virtually. It might be helpful to note for conference that additional provisions are foreseen in the standing orders of the World Scout Committee, how exactly virtual attendance is regulated and how members are considered to be attending from a virtual element. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any questions about this amendment? No questions. I open up for debate about the amendment. Yes, we have Ukraine. Can I have a microphone for Ukraine, please?
Good morning, dear brothers and sisters in Scouting. I'm Andrei Chesnokov from the delegation of Ukraine. We would like to contest this amendment, even though it is 2017, as it was pointed out as an agreement by one of our brothers yesterday. The delegation of Ukraine believes that when being elected, the members of the World Scout Committee took commitment to work hard and spend time at least for one meeting in person in a year. One cannot disagree that meeting in person is much more sufficient for better and efficient results. World Scout Committee members could organize their work in any way they like, using Skype or other ways of communication, but this is their commitment to meet at least once in person in the year for the sake of this organization that exists really but not virtually. And for these reasons, we believe that such amendment to the Constitution make it possible for them not to meet at all. So, for these reasons, our delegation believes that this amendment needs to be rejected, and we ask the conference to vote against it.
Ukraine, we have a response from the World Scout Committee. Karin Albeck, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the World Scout Committee, I would like to clarify that the intention of this amendment is in no way intended to replace physical meetings of the World Scout Committee. The committee fully realizes and appreciates the importance of meeting face-to-face to conduct its business, and that's something that we are fully committed to doing going forward. This is simply to allow virtual attendance and meetings in exceptional situations. For example, during this triennium as well, we have had meetings, physical meetings, where some members have not been able to attend, for example, due to illness, unable to travel. They have already been listening into the meeting through Skype, but are not allowed to vote due to the constitution as it stands at the moment. And therefore, given that it is 2017 and internet does exist, we'd like to correct this technicality in the constitution. To be very clear, it does, yes, also allow for fully virtual meetings of the committee online. However, let me stress that this does not replace the physical meetings. It is purely intended so that there is a provision in the future to run additional meetings so that the committee, if needed, can meet more frequently than twice a year, as is currently the standard rhythm of the physical meetings. So in effect, this makes the committee meet more often and work even more than currently is the case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karin. Anybody else who wishes to debate? Yes, I can see. In the middle, India, please, and then up there, I cannot see your country name. India first, and then...
Thank you. I certainly echo what Ukraine has said. One or two exceptions cannot be made a rule. I think we should, the physical presence of a member in the World Committee helps a lot than such Skype, because where one cannot express freely, what we have so many things to understand from the body language also. So it's better that such exceptions cannot be made as a rule, and I request that we reject this amendment. Thank you.
Good morning.
Please introduce yourself as well. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters in Scouting. I think we're misunderstanding what is being proposed here. To say that it would limit the participation of members is not totally correct, because in that case, as is being offered right now, it allows the opportunity for the meetings to go on. Now, it also helps on the other side, where it costs us money to get the people together to have a face-to-face meeting. The committee can meet more often and cost us less because we don't have to pay the air tickets to have them travel to meet together. So they can call impromptu meetings and move on, and at least it would sometimes meet face-to-face. But it doesn't limit them. It only gives the allowance that if they need to do it, it can be done. Not saying that they have to do it every time. So I think it should be supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In case there is more NSOs who want to debate this, I will take one more speech, please. Algeria? Over there.
Bonjour. Je vais intervenir en arabe. إذن أعطي فرصة للترجمة. إذن بالنسبة لنا أن استعمال واستغلال التكنولوجيات الحديثة هي أحد طموحات وأهداف منظمتنا على المستوى العالمي، والقاعدة والاستثناء ليس هناك تناقض، لأنه لابد من إعطاء
exceptions and rules, as was said. I think we need to give the opportunity to the World Scout Committee in exceptional cases, in special situations, to use make the best use of modern technology and to use new media and technology in order to manage and administer. This is part of good management or good governance as we want it. Therefore, I think the maturity that we have, the commitment, the responsibility that we can see at the level of the members of the World Scout Committee, this will provide them with the opportunity to I don't think they will misuse those exceptional situations. I think we need to give them the opportunity to vote, for example, and I really endorse voting in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. We will move this for a vote. It needs 2/3 majority to pass. Tellers, please be ready. I open it for a vote for 90 seconds. One moment, it's going to be open very soon. The vote is open for 90 seconds.
So it's react slowly.
Technical assistance for India, please. Technical issue for Ghana. Please, can I have... And we have an issue. Okay, we're keeping the vote open longer than 90 seconds. And we're going to solve all of these user or technical issues. While we do that, I want to remind you to be extremely careful with liquid around the devices you're voting on. The only allowed liquid in the room is water, and with that as well, make sure you don't spill and damage. Yes, some technical assistance for Ghana. In case we do that, we have to revert back to paper voting, and I think it's something none of us would prefer right now. And we have in the corner as well a technical issue. Ghana, everything okay? Super. And over there, thumbs up. Anything else? Anybody having any issues? No. I will close the vote in 15 seconds. The vote is closed and the amendment is carried. We move on to amendment number 8, functions of the World Scout Committee, financial reporting. David, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proposal is a technical proposal. It aims to ensure that the provision clearly reflects the current practice as required by Swiss legislation, where the legal entity of the World Scout Bureau is currently registered. It further clarifies that all offices of the World Scout Bureau are to be included in the financial consolidation every year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. I open for debate on the amendment. I see no one who wished to speak about the amendment, so I move the amendment for a vote. needs to be approved by 2/3 majority. Tell us, okay, is that a... Yes, that's... Please... No. Okay. So, I'm moving this amendment for a vote. It needs 2/3 majority to pass. Tellers, please be ready. You will have 90 seconds to vote, and the vote opens now. We will close the vote in 15 seconds. The vote is closed. And the amendment is carried. We move on to constitutional amendment number 9, location of the World Scout Bureau, and I give over to David for technical explanation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proposal establishes and clarifies who has a decision-making authority on the location of World Scout Bureau offices, as well as the required parties for consultation. It is important to understand that this proposal stems from confusion on the matter when amendments to regional constitutions were reviewed during the past triennium. Some amendments to regional constitutions were proposed, which would give full competence to the regional committee to make decisions regarding the location of their respective regional office. The Constitutions Committee, when reviewing these amendments to regional constitutions, didn't deem these in line to be with the WOSM Constitution. The WOSM Constitution namely foresees that there is one World Scout Bureau led by the Secretary General who reports to the World Scout Committee. There is also a provision that regional offices are led by a regional director who reports to the Secretary General, but also its regional committee.
Thank you very much. Now over to World Scout Committee member Jemima, please.
Okay, so now this is the explanation from us. The World Scout Committee felt it is important, given past experience, to clarify the procedure of decision-making in this regard. It is clear that in the location of a World Scout Bureau office, 3 parties are involved. The Secretary General as the Chief Executive of the World Scout Bureau, the World Scout Committee, and the regional committee where the office is located. Given that it is the responsibility of the Secretary General to oversee any and all operations of the World Scout Bureau, as outlined in the WOSM Constitution, the World Scout Committee felt it appropriate to give the decision-making authority to him or her after consultation with the World and regional committees. How such a consultation looks like would have to be specified at that moment in time by the concerned committees. The World Scout Committee wants to stress that it deems it self-evident that the concerned parties, Secretary General, World Scout Committee, and the concerned Regional Scout Committee need to find consensus on such a decision, as has happened in the past in such processes, even if that sometimes takes a lot of time.
Thank you very much. So now I open up for questions. These are not opinions, but questions about the constitutional amendment. Do I have any questions in the room? Yes, I have a question over there. Can you please remember to introduce yourself and your NSO as well when you speak? Any other questions that we can line up?
Gracias. Gracias. La pregunta es, no me queda lo suficientemente clara la redacción. Lo que plantea es que el secretario general toma la decisión fundamentalmente con una consulta. No dice que tenga que ser aprobado por el comité. ¿Eso es así? Perdón, Javier Sandoval, Costa Rica.
Thank you. We have one other question and then we will answer from the World Scout Committee. Over there.
Oui, merci. Joachim du Bénin. Je crois que j'ai la même préoccupation que mon prédécesseur. Est-ce que cette consultation autorise, non, pas autorise, peut amener le comité mondial à refuser ou non? Je crois qu'il faut plutôt dire
we should rather say that on the proposal of the committee and the regions, the decision is taken, not the Bureau. And I think it would therefore be better that it was not only the Secretary General who had that power. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I remind you not to do repetitions and also remind you that at this point it's not possible to do amendments from the floor. Can I have an answer from the World Scout Committee on those two questions, please? David.
I can technically clarify that indeed the proposal is to give the decision-making authority to the Secretary General after a required consultation process with the World Scout Committee and any concerned regional Scout committees. Thank you.
Thank you. We will open up for a debate about this amendment. Who wants to speak about the amendment? Yes, I have France.
Je vais m'exprimer en français.
I'm going to make my comments in French.
I'm going to talk in French.
The Federation of Scoutisme Français is against this amendment. I would like to outline our reasons. When the decision to move the World Bureau to Kuala Lumpur was taken, Scoutisme Français was not satisfied that the procedure that was used took into account the opinions of the member organizations. And we don't think that this is satisfactory in terms of democracy. In addition, Scoutisme Français does not want to tie down in the Constitution a procedure which was not satisfactory.
Thank you, Franz. I will take 3 more opinions on the amendment. Anybody who wants to speak about the amendment, please show your country cards now.
Bangladesh.
I have Bangladesh. Anybody else? Bangladesh and somebody up there in the corner. One more if somebody wants to speak.
Yes.
Very good. Bangladesh, please.
Yes. Mr. Chair, I would like to draw your kind attention among the proposed amendment, especially the language that is written down, the consultation with the World Scout Committee and the concerned regional committee. In spite of this, I would like to suggest if we can consider the word like that, after with the approval of the World Scout Committee and the concerned regional committee, so it will be a group decision, not the individual's decision. Because you know, the shifting of a World Bureau office from Geneva to Kuala Lumpur, it makes a very lot of cost, financial involvement is there. And whenever you would like to have, the World Bureau have to shift the World Bureau office from next time, from Kuala Lumpur to any other place, it will take a involvement of the finance. So maybe we can address just to make it more comfortable, to make a World Committee decision with the concerned region, not the individual responsibility. So I would like to oppose just to change some word if it can be done. Thank you very much.
So just to clarify, according to the rules of procedure that you have all approved for this conference, it's no longer possible to table amendments to the Constitution. So this suggestion is not possible. I have one comment from up there in the corner, and I have Algeria. We're closing the speakers list, and then we have the chair of the World Scout Committee.
Thank you so much. My name is Izenzi Kawe from Zambia. Much has been said. What I want to say is I'm appealing to the delegates to vote against it because of the word consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Algeria.
Merci. Je vais m'exprimer en arabe.
I'm going to speak in Arabic.
Donc,
we reject this amendment because first of all, the good governance requires not, as far as we think, something quite crucial, which is to change the address or the location of the regional offices. That changing location of the regional offices need to be done after consultation, and the decision needs to be made by the World Scout Committee at the proposal of the Secretary General, not the Secretary General who decides. Therefore, we reject it.
Thank you. And then the World Scout Committee. Joao, please. Can I have a microphone to the front?
Just to clarify, the proposal that we are debating expresses, of course, an approach from the current World Scout Committee. For us, it's very clear that democracy is also a clear definition of the roles and responsibilities of different bodies. And for us, the volunteer bodies, the World Scout Committee, the regional committees, will have the obligation to define what needs to be done for the sake of World Scouting. And also it's clear for us that the World Scout Bureau needs to define the how to do it. So that for us, the democracy is also this definition of roles, the separation of roles. And for us, the Secretary General has this managerial capacity to decide on how to best deliver what the different volunteer bodies tells him. I would say that common sense would say that the Secretary General will not take a decision against the regions or the World Scout Committee, because the World Scout Committee has, of course, always the possibility to sanction the Secretary General in case he does not agree with something that he did. And I remind you that the World Scout Committee, in the World Scout Committee, all the regional committees are represented. So for us, it's a matter of clarification of the roles and responsibilities of each of the bodies. Thank you.
Thank you, Joao, for that clarification. I will now move this amendment for a vote. It needs 2/3 majority to pass. Tellers, please be ready. I'm opening the vote, and you will have 90 seconds to vote. We will close the vote in 30 seconds. The vote is closed, and the amendment was defeated. We move on to Constitutional Amendment number 10, Dissolution of Regions. Please, David, the technical explanation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The proposed amendment refers to Article 20.1 of the Constitution. That article currently provides for the establishment of regions within a geographical area to be defined from time to time by the World Scout Committee. However, no provision currently exists for the dissolution of regions under the WOSM Constitution. The proposal aims therefore to clarify the procedure for dissolution of regions. The nature and requirements of the dissolution of regions should be centrally determined, as it is similar to the creation of regions, which is within the competence of the World Scout Committee according to the WOSM Constitution. Thank you.
And then the World Scout Committee, Craig Turpie, please.
Good afternoon. So on behalf of the World Scout Committee, I'd like to clarify the intent of this amendment. Like many others, it's intended to tidy up provision in the Constitution. The Constitutions Committee, when advising the World Scout Committee on the development of this particular amendment, has considered that since the World Scout Committee has the power to create regions, and Conference agreed those powers in 2008, it is implicit that it should also have the power to dissolve them. As such, the current position or policy, on the advice of the Constitutions Committee, is that the World Scout Committee has the implicit power to dissolve regions. The draft amendment provided by the World Scout Committee proposes to regulate this explicitly and introduces two extra criteria: a 2/3 majority requirement of its voting members and a consultation of concerned member organisations. NSOs will also be aware that within GSAT, we encourage NSOs to make provision for dissolution of NSOs themselves. And this is a best practice in terms of organisation that we're keen that World Scouting adopts. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. I open up for any questions. Opinions will come at a later stage. Anybody has a question about this amendment? I see no questions. Then yes, we have a, okay. So we go forward to a debate about the amendment, and I have Greece, please.
Honourable Chair, dear Conference, we do not agree with the amendment in having regions being dissolved by the World Scout Committee. We believe that this should be a World Scout Conference decision. Dissolving a region is a powerful act that has significant legal, financial, organizational, and decision-making implication. Such a decision needs a strong democratic legislation. According to our reading, Article 20, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution assigns the power to define geographical boundaries to the World Scout Committee, but not for the establishment of a region. One more thing that justifies our position is the historical precedent. 4 out of 5 regions were enacted by conferences. Asia-Pacific region, 17th World Scout Conference, 1959. Arab region, 17th World Scout Conference, 1959. European region, 18th World Scout Conference, 1961. Africa region, 23rd World Scout Conference, 1971. The fact that one region was created by the World Scout Committee with no objections by member organizations does not justify the approval of this amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christos. Is there anybody else who wants to speak about this amendment? And if you can please avoid repetitions, that would be much appreciated. I have a speaker in the middle here, and then up in the back to the right. And then I have Ukraine. And then we... Okay.
Thank you. Okay. I'm Nagrale from Indian delegation. For better administration, we believe in decentralization of powers and functions. The proposed constitution would amount to concentration of powers at the central level, that is World Scout Committee. And therefore, it wouldn't be appropriate if this resolution is passed. And dissolution of regions, I do not understand as to why this has been proposed. The regions have been working so well, at least from APR I can say that the region has been working so nicely, and therefore I would, from Indian delegation, I would say we would like to oppose this proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, India. I have the gentleman in the back over there, then I have Ukraine, then we're closing the speakers list, and we will have the World Scout Committee.
Okay. I'm Morris from Zimbabwe. The proposed resolution goes against our vision for 2023 of growth, because this is setting for dissolving, not for adding. And we have never had historically where we have dissolved any region. Why are we talking about dissolving instead of creating more?
There will be an answer to that. Next, we have Ukraine and then the World Scout Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished delegates, I would like to say on behalf of our delegation that we agree with the logics of the World Scout Committee when proposing this according to GSAT recommendation. But at the same time, we see the problem that, the composition procedure and dissolution procedure are different. And taking into account also the statement of Greece that there is a different understanding of the first para of the same article about the powers and who is establishing the regions, we believe that on this stage this proposal needs to be rejected. I thank you.
Thank you, Ukraine. Craig Chirpy from the World Scout Committee. Can I have a microphone, please?
Me again. So just to reassure conference, there is no conspiracy to dissolve regions. This is simply a tidying up measure. Whilst historic precedent is of interest, Conference agreed in 2008 the current provisions in the Constitution that allow the World Scout Committee to define regions. The World Scout Committee believes that this amendment strengthens the current provisions in the Constitution by making it a requirement to consult with member organisations when exploring these issues. The World Scout Committee would recommend this amendment to conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Craig. So I will move this amendment for a vote. It needs 2/3 majority to pass. Tellers, please be ready. I will open the vote now, and it's open for 90 seconds. We have a technical issue in the corner over there. If a technician, please, can assist. Very Is the technical issue up there resolved? Can I have a thumbs up if everything is fine? Yes, thank you. So we're closing the vote in 10 seconds. No, I have a technical issue on the side over there. We're keeping the vote open. And a technical issue that is being currently resolved. I need a technician over there. Very good. And we're keeping the vote open. The technical issue over there, it's okay. Can I have a thumbs up from the Swiss delegation? Great. And the technical issue over there, on the slide, is it fine? Yes, it is. Good, so I will close the vote now. And the amendment was defeated. We move on to constitutional amendment number 11, annual registration fee. Technical explanation by David.
Very short, Madam Chair. This proposal allows for future reviews of the registration fee system to consider proposals beyond just a per capita rate. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I will give over to Dr. Wayne Davis for the explanation by the World Scout Committee. Can I have a mic in the front, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to clarify that this amendment is basically to give us the opportunity to find more innovative ways when we create formulas and models. As you all know, our Brazil registration fee model, which was approved in 2011, will come to an end by 2019-2020. So our fees and voting task force has been developing proposals, and we have actually brought up proposals for consultation in this conference and ongoing until the 30th of November. So basically this is to enable task forces or enable formulation of more innovative rather than just tied to per capita models. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Davis. So, are there any questions about the amendment? No. In that case, I open up for a debate about the amendment. Anybody wishes to debate the amendment? Yes. Please, over there. Anybody else? And then after that, we have Greece. Great.
Mariana from Greece.
Sorry. Excuse me. It's Costa Rica first and then Greece.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Gracias, hermanos de Grecia. Me parece que es muy importante que el Comité Mundial tenga la posibilidad de establecer mecanismos para actualizar los costos que le permitan mantener una finanza sana. Quizás lo importante, y como estoy seguro que esta grabación queda y quedará en el consciente de cada uno de
I'm sure
nosotros,
that this is something that is very much in our minds, and this in our minds
is that our formula should be objective. It should be one that doesn't damage member organizations and needs to take into account that we have member organizations who have more and less finance. I would like, therefore, for you to support this amendment. However, I would just like to highlight that the formula that is chosen should represent solidarity between brothers and sisters in Scouting. Thank you.
Thank you, Costa Rica. And now over to Greece, please.
Hello. We feel it's rather strange that we need to be deciding now on a formula which we don't really know what it looks like and what would mean for the different NSOs here.
Thank you. I will have Dr. Davis clarify.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Greece, for the comment. We are not asking for a vote or decision on a formula. It's just the word per capita that was on the Constitution that we are saying should be more open, whether it's per capita or without needing the per capita. Whatever that will be proposed from here is going to be a different thing from what we are proposing now, which is the word per capita and not a formula.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So, anybody else who wishes to debate the amendment? No. I move the amendment for a vote. By 2/3 majority, it needs to be approved. Tellers, please stand ready. I'm opening the vote now for 90 seconds. We have a technical issue in the front, over there. Great, thank you, Joachim. We're keeping the vote open longer because of some user issues, and there is one more over there. Okay. If there are still any technical issues that are being solved or that you have to bring your country, any issues that are open for Are all of the issues solved, or? I see none. I will keep the vote open. Yes, we still have a problem in the front here. And the issue is solved. I'm keeping the vote open for another 10 seconds. And the vote is now closed. The amendment to the amendment was carried. Then we proceed by discussing the amended amendment number 12, WOSM dissolution. Do you have any questions about it? Yes, we have a question over there. If I can have a microphone, please.
Hi, I'm Fernanda from Brazil. Was not clear from David's explanation what is the provision for the destination of WOSM property, the WOSM assets in case of dissolution.
I will clarify that. So this provision, how the assets will be disposed, is provided for in the legal entity of WOSM, which is World Scout Bureau Inc., as stipulated in Article 2.4 of the WOSM Constitution. So if you would look in the statutes of World Scout Bureau Inc., registered in Geneva, Switzerland, you would find an article as required by Swiss law, which reads as follows. In the event of the World Scout Bureau Inc. being dissolved, the assets shall be entirely attributed to an institution which purpose is of public interest consistent with that of the association and which benefits from tax exemption. In no event can the assets, in part or in whole or in any way, be returned to the founders or members or used in their benefit. This particular provision is fully in line and compliance with Swiss legislation for these types of associations.
Thank you. Any other questions about the amendment? I see none. I open for debate about the amendment. Anybody wants to debate? I see no cards raised. So I move the amended amendment for a vote. It needs to be approved by 2/3 majority. Tellers, please be ready. I open the vote for 90 seconds now. The vote will be closed in 30 seconds. We're closing the vote now. And the amended amendment was carried. We are now moving to the final vote related to the constitutional changes. as you can see in the document, as well as projected on the screen behind me. This proposal that we will vote on grants authority to the World Scout Committee to deal with minor text corrections when producing a new edition of the WOSM Constitution. Do I have any questions about this proposal? Do I have anybody who wants to debate this proposal? In that case, I move the proposal for a vote. It needs to be approved by simple majority. The vote will be open for 60 seconds. I'm opening the vote now. We are closing the vote in 15 seconds, so please vote. No, we are having technical issues and I'm keeping the vote open. Please raise your cards in case you're having a technical issue. It's solved. I will keep the vote open for an additional 10 seconds. And I'm closing the vote now. The proposal was carried. Congratulations on finishing all of the constitutional amendments. We have a short announcement that will be delivered by Hanna Pasic.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to remind all Bronze Wolf awardees who will receive their Bronze Wolf on Friday morning, tomorrow, as well as presenters, to be in front of the stage of this room for rehearsal on Friday morning at 8:15. I also want to remind or inform all Bronze Wolf holders who have registered for the special Bronze Wolf holders luncheon that this will take place at 12:30 on Friday, tomorrow, in room B1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. I'm now happy to announce that we're going to break this session and we're going to go to lunch. I expect you to be back in the plenary at 2 o'clock sharp. We will start voting on the amendments to the resolutions and on the resolutions. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please vacate the hall as we have a rehearsal which we need to carry out. Please leave the hall without any delay. Thank you for your understanding.
Ladies and gentlemen, it would really help us if you could leave the plenary hall as soon as possible. We do rehearsals in here in between sessions to make sure the conference runs on time. It would help us if you could leave the hall, please. That includes you, Dan Owenby, former member of the World Scout Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a final courtesy call. Could you please leave the arena so that we can rehearse for the sessions this afternoon? We would really appreciate your help, and so would those presenters who are working this afternoon. Thank you very much for your help, but please leave the plenary hall. Thank you. Dan Owenby and Yo Demoun, which part of leave